Welcome back to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door,
And me, Sam.
with your weekly double tap of all things Laserforce and Space Marines. So, bit of a disclaimer before we get into recording this. We actually recorded this podcast a couple of days ago, and it all went really well, and it was all super amusing and entertaining, and then I went to go cut it, and turns out I had some microphone issues that we didn't find out until the playback. So now we've had to redo this one last minute. And by last minute, I mean that Than is actually driving in his car on his way to band practice, hence the road sounds that you might hear throughout the podcast.
Yes, yeah, that's a thing. It happens.
So, the quality this week is even more terrible than normal, but I'm sure that y'all will be okay with that. This week...
And honestly, even if you're not okay with it, fuck you. We do the podcast for ourselves anyway, so whatever.
Exactly right. This week, again, we're having a chat to one of my favorite people, just in life, not just in Laserforce, but in life, reminiscing about the old days, some of our favorite and least favorite memories of previous national tournaments. So, welcome back to the microphone, all the way from Oakley, Al. What's up, man?
G'day, how you doing?
Good, buddy. Good. Thanks for doing another day of recording with us.
Oh, no worries. I get another, 4 hours of chatting to my mates. It's all good.
4 hours for one 45-minute to 1 hour long podcast.
Well, we digressed a lot last time, so it's okay. We'll be a bit more concise this time, probably.
I'm pretty sure we talked more before and after the podcast than we actually did recording, so...
probably.
As is normally the way.
Close to. Very, very, very close to.
So, gotta obviously kick off with I guess, our favorite memories. Al, do you want to kind of go first?
Thank you. I will. I want to kick off with it. It became a favorite memory, but it was not a favorite memory at the time. And it was my second nationals in Gosford. It was my first away nationals, and I'd only known these guys that I was travelling with for 12 months, 18 months maybe, and so we packed all six of us up staying in a small hotel room, and in Gosford, country town. What do you do when you go to country towns in Australia? You try the local bakery and you get a meat pie.
Yeah.
Meat pies. Yeah.
Meat pie. Now that is a savoury meat pie, American people, not a fruit pie. If you don't know what one is...
I fucking miss meat pies. That is definitely one thing that I miss having moved back here, because you can get them in New Zealand as well, and it's like, yes, they are fucking delicious. Oh my god, they're delicious. But yeah, not so much with getting them here. Anyway.
No. Something to check out when you're in Brisbane for the Nationals, people travelling.
I gotta say, actually, on that, for anyone travelling in New Zealand, make sure you get one here, because they're so much better.
Well, it's all the lamb.
That's right.
And I'll just leave that there. This Gosford trip. So we asked the guy at the local servo where the best bakery was to get a fresh local cooked meat pie, and went down there. And of the six of us, 5 guys, meat pie. I wasn't feeling so meat pie, and so I got sausage roll. Homemade sausage roll.
You can't go wrong with sausage roll.
Can't go wrong with sausage roll.
Yeah.
So, the downside of all that was 5 players in the team ended up with some fairly serious salmonella type poisoning, and spent the entire nationals, they stopped. I'm pretty sure they didn't penalise us in the end for leaving the playing arena. But guys were having to throw their pack down and run out to the toilet.
Yeah, buckets
they were so sick.
Buckets are non-standard Laserforce equipment. Can't bring them into the maze with you.
Oh, yeah. Like our room, Oh, the stench in our room was bad, and just it pervaded everything. The
Ugh.
five other guys who had the pies, they were so sick. The guy playing our medic, he was. I would have to check with Traj, but I'm pretty sure that they were letting him leave and come back to the maze, and letting us resupply with his suit from the ground because we couldn't participate. He couldn't go 10 minutes without going to the toilet.
That's rough.
And
man.
we'd have his pack standing for him. He would run from the toilet, throw the suit on. They'd start the game. We'd start, and hope that he would get as far as he could through before he'd have to run out.
Oh, that sounds like.
In fact,
the worst.
Fredo might remember too, because it was Fredo's first nationals, and it was just a horrible experience. But brought us together as a group, bonded us really well. So that was the positive of that. My next favourite one after that was the very next nationals in Townsville. It was the first time we all stayed in a caravan park, and unfortunately the Ballarat guys didn't stay with us. But the Brisbane guys stayed at the same caravan park as Oakley, and it was because it was well before the real unpleasantness that happened in 2003 happened. And so we all stayed there, and there was a pool like directly across the road. We were in great position. The kid, the guy who owned the place, his kid was playing in the tournament for Townsville, so he said to us, even when the pool's locked, just put a couple of chairs over, climb over, go and swim any time of the day or night, go nuts. We had a great time. I mean, granted, it was a tiny little cabin, and there were 7 of us squeezed into this cabin.
Yeah.
With 4 of us sharing 2 beds. It was tight. But the funny thing about this was one of the times, we were there, and I went to the toilet, and Snookums, one of our players, went to the toilet at the same time, and normal urinal etiquette. I was at one end, he was at the other end. You don't lock eyes. And this
eyes
old guy, that's right. This old guy came in, and he stood up. Proper etiquette, stood in the centre between half the distance between whoever else is there. But this guy, he was wearing shorts, and he's pulled his shorts up maybe half an inch to 3/4 of an inch off his knee, leant forward, dropped his cock out, and just had a wee, and just tucked it back under and went back out. And for the rest of the week, you just randomly in the maze when either when we were reffing or when we were playing, you'd just hear this. How big was it? And everybody, it had a hand movement at all. You'd be striking below your knee going, down to here. It brought the group together. We told the Ballarat guys, and because we had a couple of Oakley players playing for Ballarat in that tournament, so that we spent a lot of time with those guys.
Yeah.
And it just the whole week was. I found that's the one thing I remember the most out of that trip. It was so much fun.
Yeah. I think like whenever like the nationals I've been to, whenever you've had everyone in like a communal place, it just builds those relationships with those people, because you get to see them out of the competitive setting, out of all the angst and competitiveness that comes with playing Space Marines.
Absolutely.
And everyone relaxes, and you can actually have conversations about non-Laserforce stuff, and it's just all super pleasant. So that's actually one
Ish.
yeah. That's one thing.
No, like mostly it's super pleasant. I mean, think about 2014 being the last time I travelled.
Right.
During the week, I mean, it's harder because there's a lot of Brisbane people. They're living in their own homes, of course. We had the Oakley, the average Joes, all staying at the caravan park that we're all staying at again this year. But we went to Traj's place.
Oh,
and it was like, although for those of us that went, it was awesome because they were playing Rock Band, or you were sitting out the back having a few beers, and just it was chilled out. It was very downtime, unless your name is Spoonie, and you drink a litre of Jim Beam really quickly and pass out on the couch and end up looking like a cat.
Complete with like cat biscuits strewn all around him. Like it was so funny.
It was fantastic.
Again,
and then not knowing
I have some pretty funny, like a couple of funny video clips of the boys playing Rock Band that night. Guitar Hero, I think. And Spoonie is belting out a classic "More Than a Feeling" with Fireball DK. Except neither of them had a microphone, so.
Which is probably a good thing.
On that, actually, that was probably one of my favorite Nationals memories as well, was staying with you guys in 2014, because DK was here as well, and he stayed with us. And we ended up going to Movie World so many times that week. I think we went 3 or 4 times.
4 times.
It was so much fun, man. And because it's winter, it's off season. There's hardly
It's
anyone
not school
there.
holidays.
Yeah, it's so good. But speaking of theme parks, one of my other favorite memories was we decided. So it's in the middle of winter, but obviously Brisbane's winter is basically
summer.
It's basically Auckland summer.
25.
Yeah. So we decided that we'd go to one of the water parks, and it was me, Fish, Hoodie, and my little brother, Monkey Crab. And neither of us had any swimming gear, so we went to the equivalent of Kmart or whatever over there, and thought it'd be hilarious to all buy the same bright red and white floral printed swimming shorts and matching towels. And so we're all dressed basically exactly the same. We rock into the park, and every single ride, like the people that were in the park, because the park was like empty. People that were there, everyone was just like, "What the?" Give us a sideways glance, and every attendant that was running the slides was like, "Oh, you guys must be on a stag do, right?" We're like, no, we're just weirdos who like to dress the same. So, just send us on the ride. It was so much fun. Like, that stuff is just brilliant. What about you,
To be fair, we're all weirdos.
Yeah, we are.
I mean, I've got there's definitely a few. I mean, from a non-playing perspective, honestly, in 2008 when we were in Ballarat, and again, we tie back to, oh hey, there's a caravan park, and we've got both Auckland teams staying there, and all of the Oakley players staying there, and a couple of Brisbane players who showed up there, and we're all in the same place, being able to socialize before and after, and the fact that caravan park had a pool with a spa was fucking amazing.
So good.
Oh yeah.
My legs definitely appreciated that, because that was a tournament that I played with no ACL in my left knee. I'd blown my ACL playing soccer, lucky ACL, in like May, and the surgery wasn't scheduled until November, and the tournament was in August. So that entire tournament, I just had my knee super strapped to try to prevent it from going completely floppy on me. But yeah, pretty much. But yeah, just having the all of us together at the caravan park, after each day, where we could bitch about some of the Ballarat players, because that was a thing that happened a lot.
To be fair, we were bitching about them because we were watching the videos back and listening to the things that they were saying while we were playing. So we could hear all of the little things, the nasty little things that were being said about us prior to us bitching about them. Yeah. So there was a whole lot of it. It wasn't one-sided. It was very two-sided.
Yeah, that is definitely an accurate statement. It was definitely a little disheartening to be like, you're getting one thing to your face and then hearing another thing on the recording. That was always a little amusing. But these things happen. But I mean, along with that, I mean, I'd also have to say, like, the very first U.S. Nationals in 1999. um, was, it's a fairly poorly named nationals. That there were only two sites. It was Sacramento and Texas, the Sugarland site down near Houston. And Sacramento, we traveled to them because at that time all their players were under 18, bar Goofball, who's now the head of Laserforce in the U.S., which is another thing that's kind of interesting. And so, like, Goofball and I had like managed to somehow get connected via the old Usenet group, AltSport Laser Tag, and we ended up, setting this tournament up, and just the sending two teams from Sacramento out to Texas, and that whole thing where it's like it's the first time you're really traveling with this group of people, and it's such a wide-ranging mix of people. There were certain things about that tournament that to this day still piss me off. There are certain things about the return visit in 2002 that to this day still piss me off. But as a whole, just having those traveling experiences, those were good, fun, and definitely things that for the parts of it that irritated me, I certainly wouldn't have changed having gone. But I mean, if you start getting into like my like favorite playing memories, there's some general toss-ups. I mean, playing 2004 in Sacramento, playing with Sac X is one that, just because the makeup of that team was such that it was a really good time, and winning never hurts that. And then really the Nats that I was involved with Auckland, in my 2005 debacle, playing with a team of mostly scrubs and getting 0 pointed for a tournament. But having the net positive out of that come, essentially coming back to Auckland after that tournament and being able to take over the members nights and Space 5 and be like, okay, motherfuckers, this is what we're doing so that you guys can stop sucking at Space Marines on the international stage, and having that actually bear fruit in 06 and 08.
Yeah.
So that stuff is definitely nationals memories, and it's like, yes, in that moment, we things either got done, or things changed, or things went the way that they were supposed to, and there were a lot of net positive results because of it.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely don't think that Auckland ever gets competitive unless I do what I did after coming back from 2005 nationals.
I agree. Like I like to refer to it as the age of Than, where we basically stopped sucking and like really we trained. We started playing Space Marines in a way that wasn't just completely attack orientated, and like, because I think at the time we had a lot of guys who were good at playing laser tag, but were not necessarily good team players. So like, and those guys, had a hard time adapting, and so a few of them actually stopped playing once Than came in. But the core group that we got left with was so much better for it, and then it showed, at the next year when we played in Auckland and had our very first wins against Australian opponents ever.
And that tournament, was probably the highest caliber games across. Like, there was no team that got smacked all week.
Yeah.
Of the 5 teams, you know, even the two B teams, Auckland B and Oakley B, didn't suck.
No.
Like, you've got guys who were playing on the Oakley B team who are some of our better resupply guys of all time. And there must have been 6 teams because there was a Wellington team too, wasn't there? So, but anyway, so many good games came out of that tournament. Like, for me, I mean, that tournament, and I know, Than, you're the same, we hold that one up as the best social tournament that we've ever had, in terms of there was no angst, there was no infighting. There was one incident that we're not going to talk about, but the one we are going to talk about is Mental getting headbutted in the nuts, which was fantastic.
It's funny because he carried around an ice pack on his balls for like the rest of the day and then into the night. I'm like,
all
really?
night. It was hilarious. Oh yeah. It was hilarious.
There was one little thing. I remember like Mental trying to play a couple of mind games with Virus. But because Virus,
he totally was.
because Virus is just like seriously, dude, I don't actually care. That got crushed pretty quickly.
He was determined. He was determined he was going to mess with Virus because Virus scared him. Virus was a threat to what he saw as his dominance as the best commander. Yeah. I mean, and like, don't get me wrong, I agree with everybody. Rusty is the best commander of all time.
Yeah.
But Mental doesn't agree. And he's never going to agree. And he's a really good commander. But they're two different guys. And you look at the top guys, commanders I've played against, Rusty, Mental, Virus. Mental has always wanted to use a psychological edge if he could to throw people off. And that's fine,
It's so unnecessary.
It's not how I roll, but it's when you're not winning, and at that in 2006 I hadn't played any Laserforce since 2004 Nationals.
Right.
I'd gone a couple of times to Peterborough, but I'd only just got back from the UK.
Right.
So I was not great in terms of playing, or was out of playing shape. Round's still a shape.
Right.
Totally still a shape.
Yeah. But yeah, his desire to mess with Virus, I mean, it didn't affect. It made Virus his desire to smash us more.
Honestly, he was super indifferent about it. It was really funny, which I think maybe pissed Mental off a little bit, but.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, I think it did. But the things, like the thing I wanted to talk about that particular Nationals in terms of playing is that it introduced the wall to international play.
Totem pole.
The totem pole. Like it introduced a change needed to happen. Like, people were getting smashed.
Yeah.
Virus and Lone Soul and Monkey were carving people up in the maze when you had multiple attackers.
Monkey.
It wasn't Monkey. It was Lone Soul.
It wasn't Monkey.
It was Sneak.
No, it was Sneak.
Oh, Sneak. Sorry.
Well,
But anyway,
Monkey
there was
he played that tournament, but not for us.
Yeah, no, but he was in the B team, I think, that tournament.
Yeah, he was.
But there was guys on the B team who were carving us up as well.
Yeah.
And carving up Brisbane. And as Trav said, they had to do something to stop farming points to the Auckland team because those guys, they were playing so well as a group. And so there needed to be that change. There needed to be that adaptation of style. And I think that the Brisbane introduction of that wall to Auckland just proved that they are very, very adaptable in other mazes, that they read mazes well, read opponents well, and adapt themselves to still be the best.
Which is amazing from that standpoint.
It is. I mean, the home field advantage, Rusty doesn't agree, doesn't think it's a big thing, but really, when you've got two close teams, home field advantage is everything. And it can, knowing where you can stand to drop a nuke, that nobody's going to find you. Knowing that it's exactly 3 meters between that wall and that wall because you measured it 6 months ago. So you can have your foot inside and hang off that wall and be halfway around the corner shooting the guy, and you definitely haven't chased him. It gives you that rather than having to second guess it because you're not sure that it is 3 meters, might be 3-1 or whatever. Those adaptions and Brisbane's adaptation to bring in that wall, especially in that little tucked away space that they were resupplying off green, was fantastic. And then of course the fun stuff of that.
It was not fantastic. It was fucking terrible. Fucking terrible. And I am still pissed off to this day. Obviously,
but that's because they took your incredibly good advantage and your like Virus and Soul's ability to and Sneak's ability to just farm everybody and took it away,
which is genius.
Which is genius.
So here's the thing. I'm not necessarily pissed off at Brisbane for the strategy. I'm pissed off at Sam, Sneak, and Soul for continuing to give them fucking points. I'm not pissed off at
because you kept
pissed off
sending him
at
off
the stupidity of my
alone.
own
Soul.
So
I mean, the poor
good.
guy, it's in his name. You just kept leaving him alone.
Look, I gotta say, like that tournament produced a lot of amazing and terrible moments. One of my favorite for that tournament was the first the first haka to ever be performed at a Laserforce tournament.
That's right.
I said to Than like early on, look, if we make it to the semis or if we make it to the final 3, I'm gonna do a haka. He's like, okay, cool. Sure enough, we end up in the finals, semifinals, playing you guys just before we played you guys.
You and your fucking hackers. Jeez.
So I did,
every fucking time.
I did the second most sloppiest haka ever done at a nationals, and I don't know, some magic happened after that because we ended up beating you guys in our maze, which was awesome because I remember we had played you guys in 2003. Well, yeah, we'd come over for 2003 and just got absolutely shit stomped by you guys, and then again the same again in Brisbane in 2005. So it was nice to be able to get a win. Again, home field advantage, I reckon, was one of the keys, but the haka right up there.
Yeah, and it was our inability to adapt. We didn't adapt well to that just constantly moving, constantly being able to kill us from multiple places. And that was where everything came down to that, the ability to adapt.
Yeah.
You know, Brisbane adapted and then took it to the final. We couldn't adapt and so got knocked out in semis. Wellington couldn't adapt because Stellion doesn't know how to do anything
play
different.
That tournament? I don't know if he did.
We got a penalty for Mental screaming out to me that the immovable object still hasn't moved. Because all he would do at the red, where the red resupply was, he would kneel, single leg kneel, facing out the corridor, and he didn't move for the whole game.
You sure it was that?
And so
tournament?
you knew that was that tournament. Oh, absolutely, was that tournament. Because that was also the tournament that Mental, Blindfire and Mental from somewhere. Penalty got upheld.
Oh, that's rough.
Which was kind of funny.
So what else do we have?
The other fun thing we talked about was Houston 2002, and the fact that Rusty and
Darren and alcohol.
Yeah, so Rusty and Dragon and I stayed with Goofball's best mate's parents, and they are wonderful people and so hospitable. They put us up in their house. They were wonderful. But on the Wednesday night, we went out to a nightclub with Goofball's brother and a couple of his mates, and it was a wonderful night. But we were going home from there, and we couldn't find Darren or Rusty, and so I certainly had plenty to drink as well, and we're walking around asking all of these Americans, have you seen a red-headed Kiwi called Rusty? And that was a bit of fun. But then we poured Darren. He was so drunk. We poured him into the back of the van, and Than reckons, like, I don't remember because I don't remember much about that trip, that car trip,
Well,
except of course we stopped at the servo.
You were drunk.
Oh yeah.
You were drunk. I mean, you and I, we'd had a conversation from the point that we left the club, like pretty much the entire way to get you to the place that you were staying. I don't know how much of that conversation that you remember, but we were definitely talking the whole time. No, and looking in the rearview mirror.
I remember 0.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, for me, looking into my rearview mirror and seeing Darren like swaying, taking hits, and it's like, Daz, do not vomit in the rental van. Daz, seriously, are you gonna vomit? Yeah. Okay, not in the van. That was about as coherent as he was. So managed to get to a gas station, open the door, and there goes all the contents of Darren's stomach.
He was just hanging out the door of that van, spewing his guts up. Oh, it was amazing. But
again, on the forecourt, not in the van. That's the important part of the story. Is that he did not vomit in the van.
Darren has always been a very responsible drinker. The funny thing about that, the next day we were going to a barbecue because we had a big break in the morning, and because we were doing D&D finals or something was that day, and so when drinking, I'm up early the next day. I don't know why, but I am. And so I was watching TV, just flicking through the 1,000,001 sport channels that they had, and Goofball came around to collect us. Rusty came downstairs looking a little bit worse for wear, and we're sort of going, is Darren up? Is he okay? And you hear this from upstairs, and you're like, what just happened? And then about a minute later, you hear the toilet flush, and you're like, okay, he's had another spew. He's all right. So then down the stairs comes Darren, and he is in the same clothes he was from the night before. He is white. He does not look well. And we're like, are you going to be okay to come out to the barbecue? He's like, yeah, I'll be fine. No worries. I'm there. I'm fine. And so remembering it's Texas, it's summer,
Oof.
It's 40-something degrees Celsius, 101, 102 Fahrenheit, but the house was beautiful and air-conditioned, so it was lovely inside the house. We walked outside that door and walked to the curb to get into Goofball's car, and Darren's walked out the door, the heat's hit him, and he's just gone, whoop, and run to a tree and been violently ill, and just put his head up from that and gone, boys, I don't think I can do it. I'm just got to go back inside. And he went back inside and went back to sleep for about another 6 or 7 hours, and they had to delay I don't think we actually played the final, did we, Chris?
I honestly can't remember. There's 2002 in the U.S. There's a lot of that tournament that I've blocked out. There were some things going on with the tournament itself, and then I was having some personal meltdown issues as well, so I don't actually remember a ton of 2002. Like, I remember Darren not vomiting in the van, which, again, super important. But yeah, as far as like some of the most of the gameplay stuff, really, it's like, I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, I don't remember. Rusty will remember, but so like he didn't resurface to us. Goofball's mate's parents took him out for dinner that night because he was in no state to do anything. And then we finished the tournament, flew back to play in Auckland for the first time, being 2002, and got off the plane and played the Masters. And Darren, I think he probably sobered up about the Wednesday. He definitely 100% had alcohol poisoning. He was so sick. He was like just in a haze all the way back from Houston, and even like I don't think he played the Masters. He just sat in a corner and felt sorry for himself for that full Monday. He didn't have a good tournament, but mostly because he was recovering from drinking.
So, I mean, obviously we've got decades of awesome and not so awesome memories to go through. Probably not all on the podcast, but if you want to share some of your favorite memories, write some comments below, or tell them when we come to nationals. I'm very much looking forward to making some new memories this year. I think this year could be one of the best years in terms of the social aspect, because we've got five teams staying at the trailer park this year. I think basically all the traveling teams are staying in the same place, and as far as I'm aware, we've never had that
cool.
many. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So if you find yourself at a loss of things to do one of the nights during nationals, come and hang out, because I'm assuming there's gonna be games and cards and drinking and all sorts of shenanigans happening that week. So it'll be rad for anyone that's not traveling. If you want to come and hang out, it'd be pretty cool. But Than's got to go to band practice, so we'll cut this podcast there. Thanks, Al, for joining us again, man. You're taking a couple days out of your week this week to come and talk shit about Laserforce on the podcast.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. It's been my pleasure.
So, for this week, I've been Guy Next Door.
And I've been Fan.
And always remember to backtrack, kids. We'll see you next week.